Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode 37 of my kind of a podcast. Today I would like to talk about MILF Manor. And I know everyone and their grandma has been putting out videos about that same topic. So I will try to approach it from a different angle and to talk about other things that other people haven't already talked to death. So if you are looking for episode breakdowns and things like that, this is not what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about other things surrounding the whole concept of the show that I have noticed that kind of bother me and that I would like to talk about. The first thing I would like to discuss is my personal history with reality TV. So I used to be a very avid watcher of all kinds of reality TV, except maybe for the musical shows like X Factor and Idol and stuff like that, because I was never really that interested in pop music that I wanted to watch a show about creating more pop artists. I already mentioned that in a previous video that I love to watch Big Brother until people started to become a bit too self-aware and they started to act as though they were on a show. They started to talk about the things that they were going to do when they leave the house, or the things that they believed were going to be in the news to report on the things happening inside the house. So as soon as this happened, as soon as it started to feel like these people were not in the show for the experience, but because they want to launch some kind of zealous celebrity career on the back of it, I started to kind of distance myself from it because it wasn't as enjoyable anymore. It wasn't reality TV. It was just basically casting calls for the next Instagram superstar or whatever. And the fact that the people didn't seem to be so genuine anymore. They seemed to be very calculated in the way that they presented themselves because they had an end goal that wasn't just the cash prize or whatever there was to win in the show. They wanted more, like the celebrity and the adoration of fans and the followers and all of that came with it. And that part, in my opinion, ruined the whole idea of reality TV, the whole concept of the reality TV, the competitions kind of that we have seen. I suppose you can put programs like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or whatever, like things like that, into the umbrella of reality TV. I'm also talking about the shows about people who are not yet famous, people who are not yet known, and who join the cast of some program based on a given premise to be on TV. I did enjoy the idea of trash TV. At first, I tried to convince myself that I was watching shows like Jeremy Kyle in order to get better at understanding English the way English people speak it, because I was working in call centers and I often struggled with understanding the accents of the customers I had to speak to when they were from the Midlands or the North. And so I used to watch Jeremy Kyle and tell myself, oh yeah, it's just, to help me practice my it's to help me practice my oral understanding of English. But deep down inside, I knew that I liked the trash TV. I liked to watch these people and feel better about myself because their lives were so much worse than mine and there was no comparison. And so I try not to be too hypocritical about it. I try not to pretend like I didn't watch it because it was trash. But when it became a means to an end is when really I kind of started to detach myself from the concept. I still continue to watch shows like RuPaul's Drag Race because I enjoy the competition aspect of it, and not so much because of the reality TV aspect of it. Under the umbrella of reality TV, you have specifically the dating shows, which are for regular people to find a person to be in a relationship with. This existed basically for as long as TV has existed. I don't know if there were any similar shows on the radio, but things like personal ads and things like that were kind of the precursors of reality TV shows, where people would go, like, for example, on the Match Game in order to find a match and someone that they would go on a date with. And it used to be just like regular people from the street, literally, coming and participating in those games. And these kinds of programs were filling a gap in the modern society where it's harder and harder to meet people. Back when those shows started to exist, there was no internet, so dating apps were out of the question. Going out to meet people, going to clubs and bars and these kind of things, doesn't necessarily work for everybody's temperament. Before even all of that, in the olden days, there used to be all kinds of events for matchmaking. Like, people would meet their new partner at somebody else's wedding, or there would be the balls and the fairs and those kind of things. And then you would have the local matchmaker looking for people that they believed would be compatible, and that's how you found somebody. In modern society, where people are very isolated, there isn't as much of a sense of community anymore, then it's harder to find somebody and to start a relationship with someone that you wouldn't meet daily, for example, at work or at school. You have to really go out of your way if you want to meet people. If you want to meet new people, you have to really make the effort. And once again, that doesn't necessarily work for all temperaments. So these kind of early dating shows might have filled a certain gap when people found it difficult to find someone to date. But slowly, the concept of the dating show started to creep its way into every single show that were reality TV. There always seems to be a need for couples to be formed. Even shows like Big Brother, which didn't necessarily start with the idea of people finding someone in the villa or whatever. Over time, it became expected that if you were going to go on a show like Big Brother, for example, that you might meet someone and you might start a relationship. And the people who were casting for those shows started to really look for people who they believed would be more open to doing certain things on camera, to perform certain acts, certain private or intimate actions on camera, because it had become the expectation of the public, maybe, or it had become the expectation of the TV producers that couples would be formed and that there would be things of a sexual nature happening on TV. In a way, when shows like Love Island came into the mix, it was kind of refreshing to see them drop the facade and try to stop pretending that we didn't just want to see the contestants fuck on TV. And then you end up with shows like Too Hot to Handle and Married at First Sight and all of that, where it's literally the point to put people together for the purpose of creating fireworks. Now, talking about specifically MILF Manor, the whole concept of the show is weird, in my opinion. Why did it have to be mothers and sons? Why couldn't it be just older women and younger men? Why did it have to be this dynamic? There is a stereotype of how mothers of sons are. And that is also the premise of another reality TV show, I'm married to a mama's boy or something like that. We know, because of the choices that were made, because of the people that were selected in to be in that program and the relationship that they have with each other, that the intention of whoever came up with this abomination was to create controversy. I've seen some commenters saying that the reason they decided to film this in Mexico is because the incest laws in Mexico are a lot more lax than they are in the US. Personally, I don't believe that. I do not believe, no matter how deranged I believe whoever it is came up with that concept is, I don't think that their intention was specifically to have mothers and sons have sex with each other. I understand that they are put in some situations that are kind of uncomfortable and that probably shouldn't happen. The massages and the touching and all of that between mothers and their sons, it's a little iffy, but I do not believe that the intention is for anything sexual or incestual to actually happen between the contestants. In my opinion, the reason that they decided to film in Mexico, other than maybe the nice weather, is the drinking age is not 21 as it is in the US. Some contestants wouldn't be able to get drunk if the show had been filmed in the US. So in my opinion, that's the reason. And there's also that whole thing of like, the mothers didn't know that their sons are going to be in the show, and the sons didn't know that their mothers were going to be. I don't believe that, not for 1 second. Of course they knew. They had to know. With all the legal stuff that goes in the background of creating a reality show, you wouldn't just not know or make the people aware. That is not the kind of thing that you could get away with keeping from your contestants. There are all kinds of reasons why that would be a liability if it was the case. And the contestants are way too self-aware. The way that they talk, the things that they say are almost too extreme, in my opinion, to be genuine. There are some sound bites that don't make any sense at all. Like, why would somebody have 6 children with the same man? Why not? And these talking points are never counterbalanced. They are never challenged. Or when April comes and says, oh, she doesn't believe that her sons know that she has a very high libido. Like, why would your sons know that? Your sons are not supposed to know about your sex life. I have sons. They are very young, so we are not there yet. But seriously, when they are old enough to be in relationships and things like that, I am not going to have those conversations with them. It's none of their business. All I need to know is that they are being safe out there in the world, that they are doing their thing. But I don't need to know the details of whatever it is they are doing. I don't want to know that my son has been in a 7-women orgy. Like, seriously? All of the twists and all of the surprises in that super weird show, you know it's all for shock value. That's the only reason why this show was designed. It's to put asses on chairs in front of the TV to watch it. And personally, when I was watching people watching this show, because I am not going to find a way to watch it, I don't even know on which channel it's showing. I was wondering, really, what barriers are we breaking there? What part of society is being challenged to think about relationships between horny older women and horny younger men? These are probably the most common relationships that exist in the universe. There is a lot of talk about the fact that age gap relationships, when it is the man that is older, are a lot more accepted, and that there is possibly a kind of stigma around the concept of the cougar. I do have to tip my hat to whoever casted that show. The ethnic diversity is top notch. There is one of everyone, one of everything. It's very United Colors of Benetton in there, but unfortunately, there is very little diversity of social or backgrounds. This is a show that is still full of very good looking, well off, straight people like every other. And here is the main reason that I wanted to make this video, and the reason for the title of this video. This show is garbage, but it's specifically straight garbage, because once again we have a reality dating show where the expectation is to form couples of heterosexual people, a man and a woman, no in between. And this is one thing that does bother me to some extent. It's the fact that if you're not straight and you, for some godforsaken reason, want to participate in a reality TV show, you have to go on a specifically gay or queer TV show. I haven't yet seen a positive example of representation of queer people in reality dating shows where it wasn't explicitly a queer dating show. And in a way, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because these shows are not good for the people who are on them, for the people who are watching them, for the people who are talking about them. These shows are bad all around. They are garbage. So the fact that queer people kind of are not targeted by trash TV producers is probably a good thing for them. But at the same time, it promotes the idea that LGBT people have to stay in their lane, that they don't just exist in the wild. They have to remain in their separate communities where they are going to be accepted. And that is the part that annoys me. It's the fact that it feels to me that these shows are promoting the straight agenda very forcefully. If we are going to pretend that we are breaking down barriers and stepping away from the stigma of the taboo of certain types of relationships, probably the stigma and the taboo of the queer relationship should have been addressed before the age gap relationship. Because as far as I'm aware, age gap couples are not being actively discriminated against in the places where they live. Regarding what the future might hold in terms of what is coming our way on TV, in reality TV specifically, unfortunately, I think we are past the point of no return. I don't think things are going to get better from here, because no matter how much people hate those shows, are shocked and disgusted by those shows, they still watch. So it is working. A long time ago, when I was a child, there was a bit of a polemic around the fact that the president of the biggest TV station in the country where I lived, he said that his job is not to produce quality content to be shown on TV. His job is to create available brain space for Coca-Cola to run ads between the shows that he's showing the people. Until the strategy of the shock value stops paying off, things are only going to continue getting worse. The only way that reality TV is going to get better, if it doesn't stop existing altogether, is if something really bad happens, if somebody gets seriously hurt or a law is broken. Unfortunately, to me, it feels like we get the trash TV our trash society deserves. And that's basically all I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope to see you soon. We will talk about something completely different. Bye.